Bad blood, bad love, done. Bad blood. What's up, everyone's good. It's your favorite music connoisseur Henry here, and I'm back again with another video. Guys, it looks like it's time for me to react and to review Taylor Swift's fifth studio album, 1989. Before we get into all of that, huge congratulations going out to Taylor Swift. Last week, Taylor Swift was named the #1 female artist of the 21st century. Listen, love or hate Taylor Swift, you cannot deny that she is probably deserving of that #1 slot. She beat out the likes of Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Britney Spears to that #1 slot. And yeah, man, like I said, you cannot argue that over the last 15 to 20 years, Taylor Swift has had the biggest impact, man. Taylor Swift is an absolute machine. I mean, when you look at her album sales, she's broken records in that regard. How many albums has she sold 1 mil in the first week? I think it's like 4 or 5 or maybe even 6. One of her albums currently has diamond status, and about 3 or 4 of them are on its way to being certified diamond. So within the next year, she could have about 4 or 5 diamond albums, which is crazy. Sold out tours, record breaking tours. You know, I'm trying to say, how many songs of hers have gone to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts? I've lost count. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at all the metrics, when you look at just the dominance of Taylor Swift over the last 15 to 20 years, you cannot argue that she's deserving of that #1 spot. So huge congratulations to Taylor Swift and the Swifties. But listen, we didn't come here for all of that. We came here to listen to Taylor Swift's fifth studio album, 1989. The reason why I'm listening to this for the first time is because this apparently, according to a lot of people, is probably Taylor Swift's most important album. It's the album that she kind of fully transitioned from country music and made her way into the world of pop. This album is titled 1989, as you know, but that is the year that Taylor Swift was born. She was born in 1989. I'm taking a wild guess here, but it could also be used as a metaphor, because obviously Taylor Swift, when she made this album, she was kind of reborn as an artist, because she ventured from country music to doing pop music. So in a way, you can kind of say that this album signifies a new era for Taylor Swift. Obviously 1989, I've heard, has been called the pop Bible. You know, it's been called the pop Bible, and it's referenced as the pop Bible because of its direct impact and direct influence on pop music and pop culture at the time it came out. According to, you know, a lot of people, this is basically the perfect pop album because it's got a number of hits on it. When you look at some of the albums that have been considered pop Bibles in the past, I mean, we're talking about the likes of Lady Gaga with the Fame Monster. I think that was Lady Gaga's first album, and that album had the likes of Poker Face and Just Dance on it, which were 2 massive singles. You've got Britney Spears with The Blackout, which came out in 2008, and if you want to take it all the way back, you've got legendary acts like ABBA, Madonna, Janet Jackson. You know what I'm trying to say? So yeah, for 1989 to be in that sort of list, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, it must be a very, very good pop album. After seeing all of that, I said to myself, nah man, I have to actually take a listen to this album because I've never heard it before. Just in terms of Taylor Swift's discography, on a personal level, I've heard 4 of her albums. So I've heard Folklore, I've heard Evermore, Lover, and I think Midnights. Let me just say, Folklore to me is by far and away her best album, man. I absolutely love that album. I love Evermore as well. Not as much as I did with Folklore, but I still love that album. I liked Midnights. I know people were a bit 50-50 on that album, but I actually liked it. And obviously Lover was the album that got me slightly invested into Taylor Swift, because I can't even lie to you guys, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. Before I heard Lover, I wasn't really too, you know, I wasn't really paying Taylor Swift any attention, because in my eyes, she was just making very generic pop music and I didn't really care for all of that. But Lover was the album that made me be like, you know, wait, hold on, maybe there's something here, you know? Like, it definitely got me slightly invested into Taylor Swift, because even at the time, I was working at EMI Records, and EMI Records was responsible for distributing Taylor Swift's music here in the UK. So, you know, I was in and around that whole campaign. One day I just decided to listen to it, and yeah, it definitely caught my eye. So, I mean, from that period in time, I've kind of, you know, been slightly invested in Taylor. And then I think what made me get more invested is obviously when I heard Folklore. I think she released that a year after, and that was a phenomenal project, man. See, now fast forward how many years later, I think this album came out in 2014. Yeah, I'm going to actually take a listen to this and digest it, soak it in. This obviously album did really well for Taylor. This is one of the albums actually that is almost certified diamond. I think it's like 9 times platinum. You know, it sold 1 million the first week. It had a couple big singles on it, like Shake It Off. I mean, that was a monster of a hit, one of Taylor's biggest hits that she's had in her career. Listen, obviously I've done too much talking, you know, I'm trying to say apologies for the long intro. I'm not going to do too much more talking. I know you guys are eagerly anticipating and eagerly waiting for me to get into the video, which I'm going to do now. But before I do, guys, I'm going to need everybody to like, comment and subscribe, man. You know, we've just hit 10k subscribers and we're trying to get to 11k by the end of April. So guys, obviously help us out, like the video, share the video, and all my Swifties, most importantly, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, man. Without further ado, man, let's get into this one. This is 1989 by Taylor Swift. First ever listen. Let us go. Let's see how this one's gonna sound, man. Let's go. Track listing now, and it looks like there's about 13 songs on this album. Just looking at the producer and writer credits, I can see that the likes of Max Martin and Jack Antonoff are on the credits. Max Martin obviously has been dubbed the godfather of pop music. Didn't really know about Max Martin until about 2019 when I was working at Universal Music. There was a seminar that was done in regards to royalties and songwriting, and the person that actually was giving the seminar brought up Max Martin's name, and he basically was just talking about who Max Martin was and how many artists he's produced for, how many artists he's sort of written for, and yeah, man, he's definitely like the pop guru, because yeah, he has worked with some big names, the likes of Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, obviously, and yeah, man, he's written some of the biggest pop hits in history. So yeah, he's definitely you know, the godfather of pop music. And obviously Jack Antonoff, he's also been around for a while. He obviously has done some stuff with Sabrina Carpenter lately, and yeah, he's a well-known collaborator with Taylor Swift, sorry. So yeah, those are two big names that have worked on this album. But yeah, guys, obviously, like I said, it's 13 tracks long, and the first track is called Welcome to New York. Let us get this underway. Let us go. Let's see how this one's gonna sound. Walking through a crowd, the village is aglow. Kaleidoscope of loud heartbeats, undercoats. Everybody here wanted something more. Searching for a sound we hadn't heard before. Come to New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. Leave forevermore. The lights are so bright, but they never find me. To New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. It keeps you guessing, like any real love. It's ever changing, like any true love. It drives you crazy, but you know you wouldn't change anything. Guys, obviously that was Welcome to New York, man, and I can't even lie to you, that was very well produced. And I will say this, Taylor's vocal performance on that record was top notch. I think it was a nice feel good track, man. Taylor Swift, you know, was in awe of New York, and she was in awe enough to write a song about the actual city. And listen, New York is New York. It's not called the Big Apple for no reason. I've been to New York before, you know what I'm saying? And I can't even lie, the first time I touched down in New York, I got a bit starstruck, you know? I definitely got a bit starstruck. You just feel like you're a small fish in such a big pond, and it's very hard to kind of grasp everything because, yeah, everything just looks so big, you know. So I definitely get where Taylor's coming from, and yeah, it just seems like she was just admiring obviously the city of New York, and yeah, she got inspired enough to write a song about the city. And yeah, I definitely hear that, man, for real. It was definitely a good start to the album. Like I said, it was very well produced, and for me, I think the hook was very catchy as well. The hook is very catchy. Welcome to New York. Welcome to, yeah, the hook was very catchy. So moving on to track number 2, it's called Blank Space. Oh. Oof. That bass is. Ooh. That bass. I'll write your name. That was track number 2, and the track was called Blank Space. And I can't even lie, when I heard the melody, I realized that I'd heard this track before. This was one of the singles, correct me if I'm wrong, off of the album, and I think it did actually really well on several in several countries, should I say. But yeah, that was Blank Space, and listen, that bass was absolutely knocking. Again, another well produced record, and obviously just hearing the melody brought back, you know, brought back a few memories. This used to get played on the radio so many times, and during the time that this album was released, I was actually in uni. So yeah, I remember hearing this song also in some clubs. Can you imagine? It was definitely a track that a lot of people were singing along to, and I can definitely see why. This track is contagious, man. And yeah, it's a head bop, I can't lie. It's definitely a head bop. I have to laud Taylor Swift's vocal performance on this one. But yeah, the production was crazy, man. Again, first 2 records in the bag, and yeah, big ticks for me. See, track number 3 is called Style. was track number 3, and that was Style. I mean, do you know what? I must say, Taylor is definitely underrated. Just in terms of like her vocal ability, it doesn't really get spoken about a lot, but she's actually an underrated singer, and I'm actually seeing this now, 3 tracks in. Really and truly, I love the fact that Taylor's bringing like so much personality into these records that I've heard so far, man. I can definitely see how the younger demographic, especially when it comes to females, how they gravitated towards this album in particular, because yeah, so far this is great pop music that I'm hearing. Track number 4 is called Out of the Woods. That was track number 4, and that was Out of the Woods. And I think this track wasn't as good as the first 3 tracks that I've heard so far, but it was still pretty decent. But again, Taylor continues the trend of just absolutely owning these tracks. One thing I haven't mentioned, which I've actually noticed, is that Taylor Swift is quite a good storyteller. I just feel like the hook, the chorus part was a bit too repetitive. Yeah, I just feel like it was a bit too repetitive, and after a while it kind of got a bit, I'm not really sure about that, but again, still a decent track, but not as strong as the other 3 that I've heard. Track number 5 is called All You Have to Do Was Stay. And people like me wanna believe you when you say you change. The more I think about it now, the less I know. All you had to do was stay. Ooh, this is more like it. Ooh. That was All You Had to Do Was Stay, and that is more like it, man. That's a great pop record, man. It just seems like obviously Taylor Swift is carrying on this theme with regards to obviously talking about obviously relationships. I think apart from Welcome to New York, I think Blank Space, Style, Out of the Woods, and All You Had to Do Was Stay have been topics based on obviously some sort of relationship, situationship, however you want to call it. I think a lot of teenage girls or females can sort of relate to this album, because relationship issues and relationship situations are things that we can all sort of relate to. As Taylor Swift is saying, man, all you had to do was stay. Why did you go? You had it all here, but you decided to leave, and now you want me back. And again, that's stuff that people can genuinely relate to. You know, we've a lot of us have had that situation where we've been with somebody and they've decided to leave us for whatever reason, and you know, a few months later, maybe years later, they decide to try and pop back in our lives. But listen, we've moved on, you know. We've moved on. Like, again, very relatable, and yeah, that was a great pop record, man. As moving on to track number 6, and it's the big record off of this album, man. Obviously I've heard this before. I mean, who hasn't? It's Shake It Off, and yeah, like I said, this was an extremely enormous single for Taylor Swift. Listen, during the time when this came out, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing this track. So yeah, obviously for the sake of this album reaction, I'm gonna hear it again, and it is Shake It Off. Let's go. Yeah, so that was Shake It Off, man. And you know what? I think what's really powerful about this track is the message behind it. You know, again, it's another great pop record, but again, I think the message is the most important part. No matter what happens in your life, no matter if you experience, you know, any sort of negativity, any issues, any worries, all you just gotta do is just shake it off, man. You know, and it kind of reminds me of Mariah Carey's track, which was called Shake It Off as well. I think there's something really empowering about having that sort of a message. Like, I mean, in life, you're gonna experience hardship, but listen, you just gotta shake it off, dust yourself down, and keep it moving. Other than the track being a great pop record, I think the message as well is the more powerful element about this track. But honestly, again, I could definitely see why this song was so popular and why it did so well worldwide. I mean, yeah, this song was an absolute monster. Right? So track number 7, we're halfway through the album. Track number 7 is called I Wish You Would. In your car, windows down, past my street, the memories start. You say it's in the past, drive straight ahead. You're thinking that I hate you now, 'cause you still don't know what I never said. Wish you knew that I never forget you as long as I live. Wish you were right here, right now, it's all good. I wish you would. No pain, think of you. We're a crooked love. In a straight line down, there's no running back, and it makes you turn right back around. What I did, wish you knew that I never forget you as long as I live. Wish you were right here, right now, it's all good. I wish you would. I wish we could. Wish you knew that I miss you too much to be mad anymore. Wish you were right here, right now, it's all good. I wish you would. That was I Wish You Would, and that's track number 7, man. Yeah, Taylor Swift. She's a great songwriter, man. And again, I think along with her vocal ability, I think her songwriting is also an underrated part of her artistry. I think her songwriting, to me, absolutely peaked on Folklore. Even before then, obviously on Lover, when I heard it for the first time, there were some great tracks on there as well from a songwriting perspective. But it seems as if, You know, Taylor Swift has always had this in her bag. Yeah, during this album listen so far, man, on quite a lot of the songs, I'm definitely seeing it. The actual album is quite versatile. I mean, there's some up tempo tracks on here. There's some mid tempo tracks on here. I haven't really heard any ballads as of yet. But maybe that's coming up. But yeah, there's a variety in here. Definitely showing off Taylor Swift versatility. And bear in mind, this is like the first pop album that she ever did. So yeah, man, this is definitely a good effort so far, man. With that track, wasn't my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. Wasn't my favorite. Wasn't my favorite. I kind of put this in the Out of the Woods pile. Yeah. I think I Wish You Would and Out of the Woods, they're a bit for me. Still decent tracks. They're not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but I definitely feel like those are the two weaker tracks in this album so far for me. So track number 8 is called Bad Blood, and this is a track that I've heard before as well. This was another massive track for Taylor Swift. Matter of fact, I think she did a remix with Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, I think obviously that took off, but the original was definitely big within itself. Again, for the sake of this album reaction, I'm gonna listen to it again. This is Bad Blood. Baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be bad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got problems. And I think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut. And baby, now we got bad blood. I was thinking that you could be trusted. Did you have to ruin what was shiny? Now it's all rusted. Did you have to hit me? Whoa. Where I'm weak? Oh, it's so sad to think about the good side. Now we got bad blood. You know it used to be bad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got problems. And I think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut. And baby, now we got bad blood. That was Bad Blood, and Bad Blood is a mother effing anthem. Oh my days. Taylor was talking her shit on that record, man. You know what I'm saying? Taylor was definitely pissed off. Listen, there's no going back. You've got an enemy for life. That's what she's basically trying to say. Like, there's no, yeah, sorry, and things are gonna be okay because you said sorry. Like, you can't do anything to kind of rectify the situation. It's bad blood for life. I'm holding on to this resentment, and listen, like I said, Taylor was talking her shit on that on that song. And that's an anthem. That is a serious anthem, and for me, I think that so far, Bad Blood is the best track on this album, man. I just think Taylor slid on it, man. She absolutely slid. So track number 9 is called Wildest Dreams. Away from the crowd, I thought heaven can't help me now. Nothing lasts forever, but this is gonna take me down. You still remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe. Red lips and rosy cheeks. Say you'll see me again, even if it's just in your wildest dreams. His hands are in my hair, his clothes are in my room, and his voice is a familiar sound. Nothing lasts forever. Tall and handsome as hell. He's so bad, but he does it so well. And when we had our very last kiss, my last request is in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe. Red lips and rosy cheeks. Say you'll see me again, even if it's just in your wildest dreams. Wildest dreams. So guys, that was track number 9, and that was called Wildest Dreams, and I can't lie, I felt like I was floating, man. I felt like I was dreaming. That track sounded very angelic. It sounded like I was ascending into the sky or into heaven. And again, talking about the songwriting element of Taylor Swift, you know what I'm just kind of remembering? The fact that Taylor Swift obviously came from a country background, and one thing I know about country singers is that in order for you to make it within that field, you need to be a great songwriter. So it kind of makes sense to me now why obviously Taylor Swift's songwriting is actually so good. That was a great track. That was a great track. Something a lot more slower than what I've heard on this album so far. Remember, I referenced the fact that, you know, this album was very versatile, or it was sounding very versatile, because during the whole listening session of this album, I've heard mid-tempo songs, I've heard up-tempo songs, and now I've heard a song that's a little bit more slowed down. There's everything for everybody on this album, man. And yeah, I have to definitely tip my hats off to Taylor Swift for the versatility she's showing. So track number 10 is called How You Get the Girl. Okay. That was How You Get the Girl, and looks like Taylor Swift was putting us on game, giving us guys a bit of advice, you know. I hear it. I found myself actually tapping my feet to that one and sort of nodding my head. Yeah, very catchy, very catchy, man. Taylor knows how to make a great, you know, a great pop record, and again, it's quite crazy that this was like her first big pop project, and right now, man, she's knocking it out the park. Hearing Taylor Swift in these songs, it just feels like this is where she needs to be, that this sort of, you know, genre of music is where she belongs, because yeah, like I said, man, it just feels like she's just so comfortable, and yeah, man, it's definitely coming across in the music. So yeah, so track number 11 is called This Love. Sounding really slow. Sounding like a ballad. Wow. Feels a bit dreamy. Wow. Wow. That was This Love, track number 11, and wow, let me just say that I'm actually glad that this track was made so that Taylor's voice can be at the front and center, because yeah, it just sounded mesmerizing, man. This is the type of track that I could hear on midnights. I think this one and Wildest Dreams, they definitely have an element of midnights in them. So far, you know, there's been a number of great vocal performances from Taylor on this album, but I think this one takes the cake, man. So the penultimate track is track number 12 and it's called I Know Places. Woo! That was I Know Places, and wow, that track had so much sass and attitude in it. I love it. I absolutely love it, man. Again, Taylor's disowning this. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say it, man, but like the confidence of Taylor, man. Like, yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites, man, for real. Definitely a head bopper. And yeah, man, just added to the list. I mean, apart from maybe 3 records out of 13 or 12 that I've heard so far, man, yeah, I've actually enjoyed what I heard, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was a bit like, I don't even know, because this is not really my thing. I don't really like generic pop music like that as a whole. But so far, man, you know, I'm liking what I'm hearing. So track number 13 is the last track of the album, and it is called Clean. Oh, track number 13, and that was Clean, and that's a great way to kind of end this album. I think from hearing what Taylor Swift was singing about on this record, I think this was her way of saying that she's finally, you know, clean. She's finally free from this person who has caused her some sort of pain. She's finally on the journey of healing and finding herself again. I think she talked about the fact that obviously, you know, she is now kind of free from this person for about 9 to 10 months, but the urge of, you know, her wanting to contact this person again is there, but she's trying to remain strong. She knows that going back to this person is no good for her. And again, it's a very relatable topic because, you know, if you've ever been in a bad relationship, or a relationship that ended badly, and you know you end up going, you know, your separate ways, sometimes it's kind of hard not to go back because you miss that person, even though they might not be good for you. Yeah, like I said, man, I think that's a great way to kind of, you know, conclude this album. That was the last record. I thought that was a good record as well, so add that into the good pile. And yeah, guys, obviously that was 1989. And then let me just say, man, I was actually quite impressed with what I heard. I didn't expect to be, you know, thoroughly impressed with this project. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I said to you before, I wasn't really a fan of Taylor Swift up until Lover, because I just thought she was just making very generic pop music. I didn't think there was anything special about her, but after hearing this project in its entirety, I can definitely understand why Taylor Swift, you know, became, you know, quite popular when this album was released. I think this was the album that definitely, would I say made Taylor Swift into a superstar? I don't want to go that far, but it was definitely the album that ascended her into a different stratosphere. There are definitely some great pop records on this actual album, man. On most of the records, man, she definitely sang, you know? She definitely sang, and she definitely brought a lot of personality to the records. And this album was a risky move by Taylor, because coming from country music to pop music is no easy feat. And pop music is very ruthless, you know? It's very ruthless, it's very grueling. So yeah, if you don't if you don't knock it out the park, man, you could find yourself in limbo, and you can find yourself destroying your career. So yeah, Taylor took a risky move, but he ended up paying off, and I can definitely see why a lot of people started to turn their attention to Taylor when this album got released. Because yeah, there's a lot of great pop records on here, man. Obviously, apart from a couple records which I thought were meh, the rest of the songs on here, yeah, are quite good. I just got to give it up to Taylor Swift's vocal performance on this project, man. I don't think that is gonna get spoken about enough. I think she definitely came with it. She came with serious heat, serious vocal heat on this project, man. She sounded very confident. She sounded very assured. She sounded like she belonged in the pop space. And yeah, her vocal performance was very surprising, I can't lie, but it was very good. And again, she brought a lot of personality to the records, and just a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling. And again, the production, man, I've got to give it up to the production, because that did, I wouldn't say it did a lot of the work, but it did carry a heavy load. It did carry a heavy load. Great production, you know what I'm trying to say? Great production, great uses of instrumentation. Some of the arrangements as well were great. And yeah, man, I just thought that this was actually a good listen, and I'm pleasantly surprised about that. This is called the Pop Bible, and I can definitely see why it's called the Pop Bible. 100%, 100%. You know, I think it definitely carries that name well. And yeah, man, listen, Taylor Swift, look what she's gone on to achieve. This was released in 2014, and we're in 2025 now, when Taylor Swift has literally just dominated. From this album up until now, she's just absolutely dominated. And yeah, this album definitely started all of that. And yeah, man, thumbs up from me, Swifties. You know what I'm trying to say? Thumbs up from me. This is my fifth Taylor Swift album that I've listened to. And obviously, you know, I plan on listening to a couple more. So you guys let me know in the comment section below what Taylor Swift album I should react to next. Just to give you a bit of context, I've listened to this one now, obviously. I've already listened to Lover, Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights. I liked what I heard, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, big up to Taylor Swift, man. But guys, obviously, let me know what you thought about this in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back again real soon with another one. But until then, my people, stay blessed. I'm out. Peace.